You have probably heard the term black tax. It is that obligation that you might feel to support your family and friends. The fact that it is referred to as a tax means that it can put a strain on your finances. The truth is that offering support can weaken you financially and make you neglect important goals. It can create a cycle where rather than your income giving you financial independence, the supporting will set you up for financial dependence later in life. But giving support does not have to have such a negative impact on you. If you do it in a thoughtful way, you will meet your real and perceived obligations while making progress on your financial objectives. Do not accept another request for financial support before watching this video. Listen, and I will save you the grief that comes with this black tax. A lady wrote into one of those advice columns and she started with, "I love my man with all my heart and I don't plan on leaving him." Now, my experience in marriage has taught me that when your wife starts with a statement like this one, she feels that she has a very good reason to leave you and she is about to say what that reason is. That lady said her partner was sending financial support to his mother. The way that he was offering this support was affecting their finances and their relationship. The man would send an amount every month for his mother's upkeep. This was despite the fact that the couple could barely pay their own bills. Keep in mind that this couple had 2 children. She would tell her partner that he was doing too much for his family and he needed to limit it. He, on the other hand, would get very angry and say that she was saying this because she did not like his family. Recently, the man's mother had asked him to build her a house. He didn't have the money to build this house, so he was looking for a way to raise that money, maybe take a loan. This man had a sister who could help take care of their mother. However, the sister did not feel compelled to look for work and so she was living with the mother. In essence, this couple was supporting 2 households. This was a strain on both of them and it was having a toll on their relationship. She signed off by calling herself the unhappy lover. This is not just a problem for couples. Even when you are single, giving financial support to your family and friends can be a strain. It can destabilize your finances and your emotions. Look, you don't have to give this support. I know people who simply refuse. However, if giving support to your family and friends is important to you, then you need a way of doing it right. The first step is to understand the nature of the support that you are going to offer. Not all requests for support will be the same. When you step back and think of the different types of support you can offer to your friends and family, you will know how to better address them. The first type of support you will receive requests for are for one-off things. This could be weddings, funerals, or buying items. You might receive similar requests in future. However, for that particular event, it is a one-off support. These one-off requests tend to be small amount, but sometimes they can also be for huge amounts. For example, funding a business idea or building a house like the guy we were talking about earlier. These types of support have 2 challenges. First, because they are often small amounts, they might not seem like a big deal. But if the requests are many, they can add up. 1,000 here, 2,000 there, and soon you are talking about big money. Another challenge with one-off support is that they can have the potential to become recurring. When you give the impression that you are always willing to give money for these things, you will become the go-to person when these needs arise. The second type of support you will receive requests for are for emergencies. These are for serious things such as illnesses. It is something that needs to be dealt with immediately. If it is not addressed, there could be a loss of life. The main challenge with this type of request is that the amounts can be huge. When we think of medical emergencies, for example, one illness can completely wipe out your finances. If we are talking about someone you are close to, a lot of emotions are also involved. You therefore need to prepare for these types of emergencies. Many times, you cannot predict when an emergency will happen. However, you can predict the chances of an emergency happening. For example, if your parents are dependent on you and they are aging, you should expect medical emergencies. However, keep in mind that not everything is an emergency. As I said earlier, an emergency is something that is unexpected in magnitude and must be addressed. This definition is important because there is an intensity that you need for emergencies that you should not waste on things that are not emergencies. Another type of support is the extended one. Here, you are asked to support your friends and family for several months or years in a particular area. This can be for something like school fees. So if you are supporting a sibling, you will send support until they are done with school. Before you initiate this kind of support, you need to carefully plan and have conversations. Continuing with the example of school fees, if you are to offer that kind of support, what is the extent? Is it just the fees, or are you expected to support with the uniform, school supplies, and other related expenses? There could also be expectations that you need to manage. Let's say you are supporting someone through high school. There could be an implicit expectation that that support will continue into college. It goes to show that offering this kind of support should not be a rushed decision. A lot of thought and planning needs to go into it. The amount that is involved will definitely make a dent in your finances. The final type of support you might offer is the indefinite kind. Like the name suggests, this is offered for an indefinite length of time. An example of this is committing to take care of the expenses of an aging parent for the rest of their life. The way this works is, in most cases, is that you will send a specific amount of money to the person every month. The goal of that money is to help them meet their household expenses. Many times, people enter this kind of support arrangement without much thought. You will see a need and feel an obligation to help, and so you will start to send a specific amount of money every month. While you have started this voluntary, you will have created certain expectations. The person you are supporting will start to expect to receive that money every month. Since you never talked of an exit plan, ending that support might leave you feeling guilty. Each of these different types of support have their challenges. Navigating them might seem to be a daunting task. However, you can manage this situation. The important thing is that if you offer support, you need to be guided by some principles. When you agree to offer support, the objective is to make sure that that support will not destabilize you, that it won't ruin your financial position, because this is where all the resentment that you might feel would come from. So let me give you 3 don'ts. The number one principle is that you never take a loan to offer this support. The basic reason is this: you having to borrow means that you cannot afford to give that support. It is simply beyond your means. I know when you see advertisements for loans, the people in those ads are usually smiling and happy. However, adding debt to your personal net worth statement will rarely make you better off. It will weaken your financial position. Let us go back to the example of the man who wanted to borrow money to build his mother a house. If his mother has a health emergency, for example, having that loan will make it harder for him to deal with that emergency. The number 2 principle is that you never sacrifice your own retirement plans to offer this support. Retirement saving is your most important financial goal, and it cannot be sacrificed. Before offering any kind of support, make sure that you are on track with your retirement plans. Sacrificing your retirement is continuing with a vicious cycle. The reason your parents need support is because they did not have retirement plans. You sacrificing your retirement is following in that path. The end of it is that your children will in turn need to support you in your old age. This is another test of whether you can afford to offer that support. If you do not know how much you need to save for retirement, then you need to get your finances in order before you can help. If you know the amount but have to sacrifice it, then it means you cannot afford to help. The final principle is that you should not be passive. Rather, you should be proactive when it comes to offering support. What do I mean? There are people that you know depend on you. You can anticipate these people's needs. So let us say that you support your parents and you have younger siblings in high school. Very likely, you will be asked to support your siblings in college. Therefore, rather than waiting until they are joining college and you receive a request for fees, you can be proactive and start to plan for it. This goes back to the definition of emergencies that we mentioned earlier. An emergency is unexpected. However, there are many things that are expected but we just don't plan for. Thinking about these things early will keep you from feeling strained by the demands for support. The goal of these three principles is to make sure that giving support does not financially weaken you. With these principles in mind, you can then proceed to make concrete plans for how you will offer the support. The most important thing to start with is to have your overall financial life in order. You need to know where you are. That is, you need to have a net worth statement and a cash flow statement. You also need to be clear on your financial goals. In addition to financial planning, there are steps that you can take. Before accepting any request for support, you need to have conversations. They will be uncomfortable, but they cannot be avoided. In The Prince, Machiavelli said, "There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others." It is the same with tough financial conversations. You might think you are avoiding them. However, you are just postponing. At some point, you will need to have that conversation. So why not have it at the beginning when it can make a difference? When it comes to offering support, you need to talk about the type of support that is being requested. Is it a one-off thing, or are there expectations that it will be continuous? What is the exit plan? Are there any conditions? This conversation will save your relationship and your finances. Next, you need to think sustainably. This is especially for the extended and indefinite types of financial support. Because of the amounts involved and the length of time, you need a way of removing these amounts from your monthly budget. Let me use the instance of the indefinite support. A sustainable way would be for you to save up a huge amount of money and invest it in, let's say, bonds. You will then use the interest from the bond to provide that support in future. In this way, you will have removed the support from your regular budget. The great thing about this is that when you no longer have to offer that support, you will still have the principal amount. The final thing that you can do is create financial buckets. Go through your budget, decide on the amount that you would like to set aside for supporting family and friends. When you have a specific figure, limit all the support that you offer to that amount. When you receive a request from different people, get the money from that bucket. Once you reach the limit, simply reject all other requests. You can take this idea further and create a bucket in your emergency fund. Let's say you have an emergency fund to cover 3 months of your expenses. You can decide to add an extra month or two for family and friends. Again, when there are emergencies, you get the money from this bucket. Once the limit is reached, you will reject all additional requests. Offering financial support can feel like a tax that is holding you back from achieving financial independence. However, it does not have to. With a bit of planning, you can give in a way that does not hurt you. You first need to know the different types of support you will come across. We are talking about one-off, emergencies, extended and indefinite types of support. When you encounter a request of any of these kinds, you need to have some principles in mind. First, never take debt. Second, never neglect your retirement. And third, be proactive. You can start to have conversations before offering support. Think of sustainable ways to give help and create financial buckets. These will make sure that you are not financially destabilized. If you do not plan, regularly giving financial support can ruin your relationships, your mental health, and your finances. Protect yourself with these lessons I have shared.